You're listening to the Pure Fury Creations Entertainment Network.
Ladies and gentlemen, through the wonders of the internet, we are back in your ear holes. I am Todd Gilbert.
I am Brett Fortney, the Hitman.
And we are hanging with the Hitman on this beautiful Monday. I hope it's a beautiful Monday.
Sun, man.
I hope it's a beautiful Monday.
Saw some sun.
Right?
For sure.
I mean, we record on Thursdays, so I hope that by the time this broadcasts, it's nice out. It's 60 degrees today, man. 60 degrees.
Is it?
On the day we're recording.
I know. You're making it up. I understand.
No, it is 60 degrees today on the day we're recording.
Oh, it is? I haven't been outside yet. I don't know.
So things can only go up.
Nice. That's cool.
I hope.
Well, no, tomorrow's going to be 35 and snow. So that'll probably be... That's just how it works around here.
Don't do that.
That's how it works in mid-Michigan.
You're going to scare it. So today, while we have a topic decided, which we're going to get to in a minute, I thought of a new segment that we could do every episode, and I haven't even told you about this yet because it's fun to surprise you on the show sometimes. So I figured every week we could take turns per episode and have an album of the week. And that means, like, this album is the album we recommend that everybody check out that we think's freaking awesome. It could be new, could be old, it could be something you never heard of. It could be something everybody knows. But we'll take turns recommending an album that our listeners check out. I think that could be pretty fun.
Yeah.
We both have way too many albums in our life, so we figure we might as well start talking about them, So, today's album of the week. My album I'm going to recommend today is an album that you showed me that I've never heard before, and that is Silverchair's Diorama.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
yes.
I don't know how many people are familiar with Silverchair. A lot of people know their song Tomorrow, or The Year 2000, from when they were younger. But this album, to me, is probably the best thing they've made, I think. Especially working with the legendary Van Dyke Parks, who, if any of you don't know, was very, very, very famous for working with the Beach Boys.
Yeah.
He worked on Pet Sounds, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
He wrote songs with Brian, pretty much.
So he doesn't suck.
No, he doesn't suck.
You don't get to write with Brian Wilson if you suck. Well, I mean, Mike Love gets to you. But,
well, I just talked about Mike Love yesterday, but whatever. We'll talk about that later.
I hate Mike Love. For many reasons we'll get into on a separate episode. But
yeah,
I just think this album from beginning to end is so good, especially the first song, which was the song you showed me that got me listening to it, a song called Across the Night, which it's hard, it's like harder rock, but it's groove, but it's got orchestra in it, and it's got like movements and different parts, and his voice is incredible in it, and it's great. It's so good.
It's a whole thing. It's like those kind of songs to me is like, I look at them and sort of the same kind of way as like Stan from Eminem. I love stories where it almost feels like you're getting involved in it or whatever. His there's so much going on in this song. It's like a mini movie to me. It's with different parts, like different acts. Mm-hmm. It's like first, second, and third act. Mm-hmm. It's almost like a play. It sounds like it could be in like a Broadway kind of thing almost, but not as heavy probably. But like the way it's arranged and put out there, it feels very. Don't you think it feels very like Broadway-ish in a way, like a rock Broadway where it has so many segments?
Yeah, because the songs definitely have like an orchestral movement sections where one part is different from the other part, but they all kind of fit together. And yeah, I agree. Like I remember we watched the documentary with the making of the record, which was really cool. And there's this moment where Van Dyke Park took this song we're talking about and he took it home to listen to it to kind of figure out how the orchestral things are going to work. And he came back and told the singer that he made him cry because of just how beautiful his lyrics are and how wonderful his voice is in the song. And I'm like, man, if somebody reaches a legend of that caliber, it has to be amazing. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. Well, I mean, that is definitely the cornerstone of that album. Well, there's a couple other songs on there that I really, really like. But like, I feel like it was almost like when I first heard this song, I thought, just like everybody else, this is that 18-year-old kid from Tomorrow back in the 90s. Remember how they were really young when they started? They're like 16 or something, whatever it was when they started, really young.
Yeah.
They were like I'm not even going to say who they're, never mind. I was going to say something kind of, they were very young when they started. And then I think they got lost. I don't know. There was a couple albums in there where they tried to keep with that same sound that they had, that grunge sound that was the 90s.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, that's what box they were put into at the time.
Yeah.
But this singer-songwriter who wrote the song is just like, I don't know when he wrote that, but that is, to me, that is musical genius.
It really is.
That song is musical genius, how it's set up. And I know the whole album, we're promoting that, or we're talking about the album. And I love the album too, but when it kicks off with that, it just, you know that this is going to be something special. This whole thing is going to be something pretty cool.
Absolutely. And, you know, yeah, like you said, that first song is really, it's the probably the best song on the album, probably. But the other songs are great too. Like the greatest view is an awesome song.
Yes, The Greatest Divide. I love that song.
Oh man, and there. What's the other one? Hold on,
The Greatest Divide.
I gotta look at the track list because I just remember like I remember as listening to the album like in order, like, you know, I love the third song. What's the name of that one? Without You. That's the name of it. World Upon Your Shoulders is really awesome. Like, it's a great album. It's really, really good.
It is. And I think people missed the boat because, you know, when you have your little time period of, you know, having your hits or whatever it is, they were almost kind of known as a one hit wonder. They had a couple other songs that hit the radio and stuff, and I used to play them at the bar when I worked there. But it wasn't until like, this was probably about 5 or 6 years later after the whole Tomorrow and all that stuff. It was about 4 or 5 years, I think it was, probably. So he matured. I mean, he was a young adult by then, but still at a 23, 24-year-old, I mean, to be able to write a song and write songs like on that, Greatest Divide and all that. All those songs are just so good for such a young person to write. I don't understand how some of these people do that. I don't know. Do they have to go through so many different things to be able to write a song like that?
Like, I've been a songwriter most of my life, and I'm like, I listen to this stuff and I'm like, man, where did they come up with this? Like, how do they, like, it's amazing to me, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that is our album of the week, Silverchair Diorama. You can get it on all your streaming platforms. It's on YouTube. You can buy it, which is also a pretty cool thing to do. I also saw, and I'm so tempted, you can get it on vinyl now. And
you told me about that.
I kind of want it. But I'm trying to restrain myself to like maybe 1-2 records a month, maybe. I'm trying to hold back. And I heard, so it's a whole thing. But, So there you have it. Silverchair's Diorama.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So now you have a week to think of what you want to recommend in the next episode.
Okay.
So getting to our main event of today, what I wanted to talk about, because you and I talk about this every year, it happens. We haven't talked about it at all this year yet because we've been saving it for the show. And what I want to talk about is the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame inductees, of this 2023. And like every year for the past 2 years, I've been grossly disappointed. but for different reasons every time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I have the list of nominees here. These are the ones that are eligible to be inducted into the Hall of Fame, but they're not in the Hall of Fame. And we'll go through each one of these and kind of talk about it. So when the initial nominees list came out, we had A Tribe Called Quest, which, see, already I'm going to start. So it's called the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Okay, that's all I'm going to say. Tribe Called Quest is not rock and roll. Next up, Jan Winter's favorite, Kate Bush, is on the list again. Sheryl Crow, Missy Elliott. Notice we haven't gotten to any rock and roll yet. But now we're going to break the trend and get to rock and roll. Iron Maiden.
Okay.
Joy Division and New Order together, which I don't know why.
I understand that.
Maybe you can. Why is
because
that?
the singer from the singer of Joy Division died. Okay. Right, and then the members of the group went on and they formed this other group, and that's what that is. It's a continuation with a different name, pretty much. Kinda.
Okay.
Kinda. And I don't know all the details, but I hate to talk out of turn because I do know a little bit about this, but not enough to explain it. But there's a reason. The reason I believe, I know that the lead singer died of Joy Division.
Okay.
But
at the same time, you wouldn't induct Creed and Alter Bridge together. And they're the same band, but with a different singer. You know what I mean? I know the story's tragic, and that's different. But
Joy Division might have only had one album. I don't remember. Gosh,
I think you're right. New Order had more. You're right. Yeah.
I mean, New Order got up to be to the level of Depeche Mode and Erasure.
Yeah.
Those bands were those kind of bands were like a dancey. I don't know what that was. I love Depeche Mode. I love Depeche Mode.
Me too.
But I don't know. Yeah. I don't know if they had enough. I mean,
Songs of Faith and Devotion. Oh man. Oof.
New Order had a song called Bizarre Love Triangle, which is very big in the dance. It was an 80s. It was an 80s song.
Yeah.
And then we had Shep Pettibone do a remix, and it became huge. Huge.
Okay.
The remix is now the one that you should listen to or play or whatever it is, how you listen to it. But I mean, I have a greatest hits by them, but I know they also had Blue Monday. You know the song Blue Monday?
Yep.
I think it was Orgy or something.
That redid it.
In the 90s. Yeah. That was one of their songs. They had a few songs, but I don't know. I mean, here's what it is. I think when people have such a huge band or fan base, like some people that don't sell a lot of records but have a big, huge following. I don't know. Maybe that's where they're going with that too, because they are legends. They have big followers. They have lots of people trying to make sure to get in.
I wasn't saying they weren't historical. I just didn't understand why the two were together. Was all I didn't get. Yeah.
No, I don't understand if they're. Yeah, I know what you're saying. And I just I don't. I guess if they're ready, they're ready.
Yeah.
I don't know how it works. I want to hear
Nobody
some.
does.
I don't know if there's much rock and roll. I don't know. The only thing I will say though, I will say this. Yeah. Can I say one thing real quick?
Yeah.
I just want to say I have gone back and forth with the whole Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Is it rock and roll? Is it not? And I lean different ways, at different times. Right now, I'm starting to understand, especially watching the movie, the Elvis movie, and all that stuff. Where rock and roll came from was R&B. You know what I mean? It was like R&B's baby kind of thing. You know what I mean? So I don't know. It was a baby with R&B and blues made rock and roll.
I get that, but at the same time, what became rock and roll wasn't R&B. You know what I mean? So if you're going to do a Hall of Fame where you induct, all these other kinds of things, then call it the Music Hall of Fame. Call it anything else. Like Rock and Roll Hall of Fame says to me, when you hear the name, you're inducting rock artists. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like you're not going to induct, Justin Timberlake. You know what I mean? Like, and
Oh, you might though.
well,
You might. I guarantee you, NSYNC will be up for evaluation.
I'm saying
You know
when you hear Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, you don't think Justin Timberlake or Michael Jackson or you know what I mean?
Right. He's in. Yeah.
Right. And speaking of, the next person on the nominees list was Cyndi Lauper.
Okay.
And then followed by George Michael, who is definitely not rock and roll, but I love George Michael. Willie Nelson, because we all know the huge rock hits Willie Nelson's had. Now we get to actual rock bands again. Rage Against the Machine.
Okay.
Soundgarden. The Spinners, which is not rock and roll, but local, so that's kind of fun. The White Stripes.
Yeah. And
Warren Zevon. Those were the nominees to be picked from. So as of this recording, 2 days ago, they announced the official list. The ones that got chosen by whoever the boneheads are that vote for these things. And here is the performers. Here are the artists that are being inducted into this year's Hall of Fame.
All right.
Kate Bush.
I don't even. Oh, okay.
I'm gonna throw out a hot take on this one. People might disagree with me. People might get mad. Running Up That Hill is not a good song, in my opinion. I know it was in everybody's obsessive favorite Stranger Things thing, and that's fine and that's cool. But when you listen to the song is like, for me, it's almost annoying. Like, I don't know. Like, I've never understood the super hype behind people that are nuts about Kate Bush. Like, I mean, I know the 80s was a different time and she was writing weird stuff. I mean, but Bjork writes weird stuff too, and I'm not vying for her to be in the Hall of Fame either. But, like, historically, like, yeah, she's been around a long time, but I mean, does she even make music anymore? I don't think she does. But
I don't know.
But when the big resurgence of Running Up That Hill came, now I've never even heard the song until recently, until the big resurgence of it. And I'm listening and I'm like, okay, like, well, maybe when I said it isn't a good song, that's not fair. But like, I'm listening to it and I'm like, okay, like the chorus is kind of catchy, but like people are acting like it's just this groundbreaking like anthem of mammoth proportions, and I'm like, what? Why?
Everything old is new again. You know, it's a new generation hearing a song. Like, we ain't heard songs like that's probably what that is. That's young kids watching that show mostly, I think.
But was that song big in the beginning?
But, you know, yeah. I mean, I was around during that time, and I was going to tell you, I just thought this how to tell you about that song with me. Every week as a DJ, I would go out and buy 45s, because I was playing records back then. So every week, whatever the new stuff was that either hit the chart or I thought might be something, I'd go buy. That was one of those songs I did only because I had seen it hit the chart. I didn't know of the song. I hadn't heard it. And I played it, and it was like, all right. I probably might have played it 3 times ever of the 45 that I had of it, for work or whatever. Because it's not something I'm going to just kick back and listen to.
Right.
But it was definitely, for the times, it did fit. It fit in with the same kind of vibe as, Dream Academy, Life in a Northern Town.
Yeah.
Which is a wonderful song too, but it's kind of just like breezy, just kind of just flows through. It doesn't really have doesn't have like a huge hook to make me remember how the song goes all the way through, all that. But, it did, like we were talking about, it's from the 80s, and that's the kind of music they were trying to go with, more synth pop stuff then. And that's why that fit in then, because it doesn't sound anything that I would want to listen to now. But in 80, whatever it was, 86, 87, whenever that was. It was for the time and it fit right in. I didn't like it. But I mean, it was okay. It wasn't something. I mean, as a DJ, what am I going to do with this? I mean, are people going to dance? It is a nice, just listening song, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
But I've never really cared for her too much either. I don't know what that is. I don't mean that she's not a good songwriter, singer. It's just her music isn't something that I care for too much. I don't know why.
Yeah, and the only thing of hers that I heard that I liked was her duet with Peter Gabriel, and like, and even that, like it's the weakest song on Peter Gabriel's album, but Jan Winter gets in his head these people he wants inducted every time, and until they get inducted, he's gonna keep putting them in the nominees list until they get there. So, I mean, whatever. Yeah. So, the next official inductee is Sheryl Crow.
Yeah, I like Sheryl Crow a lot.
Me too.
I don't know. I think
Me too.
I mean, I don't know of legendary status as far as being into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, but I really like Sheryl Crow a lot. I think she's very talented.
Yeah, I agree.
Great songwriter, singer.
I don't mind the Sheryl Crow induction. I think it's not yet. You know what I mean? Because she definitely is rock. Sheryl Crow is rock. She definitely is. I mean, if it makes you happy, is pretty rock and roll. Like she has a lot of rock elements and has great rock musicians. She definitely should be in there. I don't know if it's too soon or not, but I also keep having to remind myself I'm old, and she's been around for over 25 years. Like, she's been around. She was on the bed toward Michael in 1988. In 1988, yeah. So, yeah, when I think of
she.
What? Your audio
I was just going to say, I know that she did a lot of backgrounds. You froze up for a second. I didn't know if you saw that or not. You were like,
no.
Anyway, I think that when she first started out was singing with, she did some background vocal. She hung out with rock stars. She sang with rock stars. I think she probably could. We were just saying, I don't know if it's yet.
Right.
But is it, 25 years do you have to be in?
Yep.
So she's definitely, but plus too, I don't see her bringing out a whole bunch of new hits that are going to be, or a bunch of new albums. She might release an album here and there, but I don't think she's in the game of trying to sell records anymore. So that's fine with me. She's, you know what I mean? She's, I think she'd be good in the rock. I think that would be a good fit for her. I don't know. Like I said, I don't know if it's time, but I think she should be there. Yeah.
I do too. Next up, Missy Elliott. Like,
I love Missy, but
they're okay. If you have to put hip hop people in there, I'd like to think there are people before her that should go in first. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, is the Sugar Hill Gang even in the Hall of Fame? I'm gonna look it up.
No, I don't think so. And you know what? I think that Sugar Hill Records is with Sylvia Robinson, who is the owner of Sugar Hill Records. She might have got a special.
She got inducted, but the band, the group itself is not. I just looked. So like,
well, they were put together. They weren't like a group that got brought up. They were a group that got put together by her.
Yeah, but so were the Sex Pistols, and they were inducted. The Sex Pistols but the Sex Pistols were put together by somebody. They're basically pop punk. They were organized by a manager and put together by.
No, true.
So
yeah, I get it.
But the Sex Pistols.
Malcolm McLaren was his name.
Right. The Sex Pistols, with what they did in music, though, definitely warrants them being in the Hall of Fame, and I totally agree with it. And what I'm saying is, if you're going to induct people of a certain genre, you should, in my opinion, induct people in the genre that paved the way for the person you're inducting. Like, you shouldn't induct, Let me think. You shouldn't induct, let's say, U2 until you induct the Beatles and the Police. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which that is how it went. It went in like that. But like Missy also, like, she's cool, but like I couldn't sing you more than 3 songs she's ever done, and that's not because she sucks or anything, but like I don't know, maybe I'm just not a huge hip hop guy, but like
I think that's what it is. She does have a lot of songs. She has a lot of songs, and I think might be what they might be thinking about her was her style of her music. I don't want to call it rap or whatever. Her style of music, because she does sing too.
mm-hmm.
That it's a style, like it's a groundbreaking style with her, the way she did the rap. A lot of female rappers after her and male rappers copied her style, the way her timing was with Timberland doing the beats and all that stuff. Her style is very a big, like I think a lot of people after her, which in my opinion, being an innovator would be the reason that you would be into the nominated into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and then being able to be actually into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Partially, don't you think it has to be like influence? Beatles. Yeah. That's why they were in there, because they were such a huge influence. Well, she's a huge influence on female rappers. And once again, I'm not saying that there is rock and roll.
That's a good point.
But she's a big influence. She is the queen. She is the Aretha Franklin. I won't say Aretha Franklin. She is in the top 10 of female rappers.
That's very fair.
She is like,
I'd say the top 5.
Yeah. Yeah, I would too, but I'm just saying there's going to be people that would disagree. So I'm going to say top. I'll say top 5. I personally think it's top 5, but I mean, because she's an innovator. That's what I'm saying.
That makes sense.
That's why maybe I feel like maybe.
I didn't think of it from the gender standpoint. I was just thinking of the genre. But you're right. When you look at the gender side of it, she was like kind of one of the firsts.
I mean, you talk to Cardi B, you talk to all of them, Cardi B, Nicki Minaj, all those people they always say that they're all influenced by her. So I mean, you wouldn't have those people. It's just, that's how it works.
There's even male rappers that were influenced by her. Eminem has said before that Missy was a hero of his.
Yeah.
So maybe I mean I get it. Yeah, maybe she does deserve to be in there. You're right, but like again,
I mean, this is like a counterpoint kind of thing that we're having right here.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm just trying to say maybe it's because I'm just trying to be the devil's advocate here, I guess.
No, and I like that because you actually made me think about parts I didn't think about, and like.
Yeah.
And like I said, I didn't think about the gender aspect of it, which is so important. You know what I mean? Because
we don't have a lot of females in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. We have some. I don't know now. Rock and roll isn't represented. I mean, we do, but representing rock and roll is probably about 60% male.
Yeah.
At least I'm going to say 60, but it's probably more than that.
Yeah.
And there are female performers out there, but they're just not well known. And maybe this will kind of help too, bring in the fact that we have females that do rock and roll too, with the Sheryl Crow and stuff. I'll have to take a look at the list because I just don't feel like there is that many female artists.
We can go over the list after we're done here because I've got the magic of the internet and I can just pull that bitch right up. So,
what is that internet? What's that?
I know, right? We're old. We don't know internet. I remember when the internet came out. That's how old I am. Anyway, next up on the inductees into the 2023 Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. This was the fan vote. So every year, it started with when Kiss got inducted. The Rock and Roll Hall of Fame started doing a ballot where the fans can pick one. So whoever all the fans picked, like the biggest number, got into the Hall of Fame regardless of voters' opinions. The first band to do that was Kiss. If I remember correctly. I could be wrong. I think it was Kiss.
Seems like obviously, but
because Jan Wenner worked really hard to keep Kiss out of the Hall of Fame because Jan Wenner doesn't understand music. And,
he just doesn't like them.
Well, and that's the thing. He turned the Hall of Fame into a popularity contest of whatever he likes the most. And like but we can go on for hours about that guy. But so the fans got to pick every year, and the fan vote this year landed on George Michael.
Oh, really?
Yep.
This is all stuff I didn't know. I didn't know all this stuff that we're talking about right now is news to me.
Oh.
We said we're going to do this today, and so all this is fresh. I didn't see. I've been busy the last few days, so I didn't see the nominees or the inductees. I didn't see the list. I didn't even know. And George Michael for me, I mean, duh.
Well, we're not just entertainment. We also like to educate and inform on this show. Yeah. But no, George Michael, while I'm going to take the rock and roll part out of it from now on forward, because I'm just, why bother?
It doesn't even matter.
It doesn't even matter. I'm just going to go with who deserves in the world of legendary status. And is in the world of music and popular music and influence and all that stuff, George Michael, hands down. Hands down.
Yeah.
There are moments in my life that I can look back to where I vividly remember music of his being an important part of it. The Faith album, for God's sakes, was my first album of his I ever heard was the Faith album, but the first song I ever heard was the one that everybody always heard, was the Wake Me Up Before You Go, But I kind of didn't follow Wham. I was little, not to make you feel old, but I was little, and I'm just like, oh, this song's fun, and I didn't really like dive into bands yet. But in the 90s, my cousin, his name is Sean, he had this album on vinyl, I think. It might have been CD. I don't remember. But anyway, and he played me the Faith album, and I'm like, holy cow, what is this? And he's like, well, it's the guy from Wham. I'm like, wait, that one song? And he's like, oh, they had more songs than that. And he, started showing me all the stuff. And like, George, while he didn't have a humongous discography of solo material, because he took a long time to make them, because, well, he played almost every instrument on half the dang things. Every time he put an album out, it was just amazing. Like, Faith is incredible. The one that's my favorite, though, is probably the one after that, which is Listen Without Prejudice, Volume 1.
Yeah, that's the one for me, too.
Even though there was never a Volume 2. And then he took a long time because he was fighting his record label, as artists tend to do. And then after that was Older, I believe, right? Yeah.
He went to DreamWorks. He was on Sony. Then he went to DreamWorks, and And that album's beautiful. That is a beautiful album. And then after that, I think was the Covers one, but I can't remember what it's called. Do you remember what it's called? It wasn't Covers. No, he had another album.
The one that had like Roxanne and stuff like that.
Oh my good lord! The one that was on there, but he had another studio album before that too.
Oh, was Patience before that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Patience was after Older. Okay. That had Amazing on it.
That album's pretty good too, actually.
Yeah, Amazing is a great song. What's the 'Cause You're Beautiful, I don't want to sing too much of it because copyright laws.
Yeah.
It wasn't something the dog.
Shoot the Dog.
Shoot the Dog. That's on there too, right?
Shoot the Dog's on there.
Yeah.
Yes. And so is Freak. Freak, the song Freak.
That's a good one too. Yeah.
Freek.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and that was, as far as studio albums, that was it. We got 5.
Yeah.
We got 5.
That was it.
Oh no, 4.
Yeah.
I can math. We got 4. And then he did the Covers record, which was like, he turned the songs into kind of jazz versions almost, which was cool and different. It was really cool. And then came the symphony one, Symphonica.
Yeah.
Right? And they took his own songs and did that stuff to him. And then he did a couple singles later in his life, but those 4 albums, though, as far as pop music goes, they're masterpieces of that genre of music. He was a hell of a songwriter, and for me, he was a big reason that I wanted to learn how to sing.
His voice to me is just he to me is a singer like Stevie Wonder is. Like, you're not putting a lot of effort into doing it, you're just doing it. It just comes out. It's not like you're trying to do all the runs and you're just doing it. It just comes out, you know. So, and
especially
you know,
his version of the Stevie Wonder cover he did on Listen Without Prejudice, the They Won't Go When I Go.
Yeah.
Like, wow.
Yes. He did a lot of, he did As with Mary J. Blige, which was like a bonus track on a greatest hits that he did.
Yeah.
And then like he sang with Stevie Wonder, and he wasn't even like, I mean, I'm sure, I don't know how you would be, but to be able to sing anything, Love Is in Need of Love Today, or any of these songs with Stevie Wonder, you got to be pretty good. I'd be
a nervous wreck.
Oh my God, I wouldn't even imagine. But I think that I want to tell you a little story, and I'll be done with the whole George Michael thing. The way I started, the way that I first saw him was on Saturday morning, American Bandstand, 1982. Wham was coming on, and they were doing a couple of their songs from their first album, which never really caught on over here. One was Bad Boys. I think I remember them doing Bad Boys. Wham Rap was the other one.
Was Club Cabana on that one too?
Yeah, Tropicana.
I got that Copacabana mixed up. My bad. Wow.
I mean, Wham too Wham had 3 albums before they went solo. You know.
Yeah.
But so that first album was the one that I thought, like, who are these guys, man? It's like the songs were really catchy. They were all like, they were in like, they had like shorts on. They had like a beach thing going on, a beach with sand and stuff. And I'm like, I'm gonna have to keep an eye out for this. The next thing I hear was, Wake Me Up Before You Go. And I'm like, oh, that's a nice little poppy hit. And then Careless Whisper.
Yeah.
Careless Whisper came out, and it was credited and featuring George Michael. I mean, I understand when you have like 7 people in a group, whatever. Well, you only have 2. I don't think you should just like say no. I'm just playing around with that. But that song hit my age group, which was at the time about, I hate to say it, about 17 or so. 16, 17, well, yeah, 17,
old
18.
Man Hitman over here.
18 and 80. I was 18 and 84. So,
okay.
Yeah, me and George were really close in age. I was
3. I was 3.
I think he was born in 63 and I was 66. So we're only 3 years apart. So that was my music, real time. I hate to say that term, but it was my music real time.
Yeah.
Because I really think that's how, music goes sometimes. Like, the music out right now is for the people that are of a certain age right now.
Sure.
That's why we don't like music 30 years later, because it's not our music anymore. But we'll get into that some other time.
Right. Yeah.
But anyway, so for 30 years, what's it been, like 30 years that how many years has that been? 82. So like 40 years.
Yeah. Yeah.
40 years.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, every time that something new by George would come out, you know how you listen to a song on the radio, you're like, oh, that's really poppy, dancey, and you're going like this, whatever, but you don't really listen to the words. Mm-hmm. With George Michael, I listen to his albums to listen to the words, because his words and the way he phrased them and sang them and made, we always reference Everything She Wants. But the one part where he says, I'll tell you that I'm happy if you want me to. You tell me that you're having my baby. I'll tell you that I'm happy if you want me to.
Yeah.
All that stuff. It's so... And
then right after that, but one step further and my back will break. If my best isn't good enough, how can I be good enough for two? Like,
yes. If my best is, he's saying if my best isn't good enough, as you always tell me, how's that going to be good enough for two? That and those lyrics in the song, the way
deep.
He was a great song.
He really was. He was just
a great songwriter and a great singer.
And just an amazing lyricist, man. Like, he sang about stuff. I mean, like One More Try. You know what I mean? And Jesus to a Child, for God's sakes. Like, the lyrics in that song are so heartbreaking, but so beautiful. And, you know, he wrote that, for those of you who don't know, about his partner who died from AIDS. And just a beautiful song. So I definitely agree with George. I definitely agree with that. Next on the list of inductees, and again, I'm taking the rock argument. I'm taking the rock argument out of this because there's only one rock band that's getting inducted this year. As far as inspiration and influence and legendary status, and someone this next artist, you cannot argue does not deserve it. You can't. You cannot say this artist doesn't deserve to be recognized as a pioneer and somebody that paved the way for millions of artists, and that's Willie Nelson. Yeah. The man who got his start writing Patsy Cline's biggest song and went on to forge his own career. I mean, Willie Nelson, as far as country music goes, I would put him in the hall of like the elders of country music. You know what I mean? I'd put him in there with Hank Sr. and Johnny Cash, Waylon Jennings. Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm naming half of the Highwaymen here in a second. Chris Christopherson, George Jones. You know, Willie Nelson, like, he took country music that was very, like, relegated to one area of listening. Like, you had, like, a country station here or there that you'd hear Hank Sr. and stuff like that. And Willie, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, was one of the first people to kind of take country to the mainstream. One of, not the only one, but one of. I wish I could remember. He wrote a couple other songs too within that time when Crazy came out. Because he was mainly like, I think he was having people buy his songs at first more than he was being the performer of his own songs at first. Yeah. But once people figured out his songwriting ability, I mean, of course he's not the greatest singer, but so is Bob Dylan plus I think he's 90 or something like that. He's 90-ish. Let me look.
And he's still out there doing it, man. He's still out there doing it.
Yeah, like nowadays he's got it. Yeah, he's 90. Yeah, he's got to sit down when he plays now, but who cares? Like, and he still plays the same guitar. Lay down
if you want to. I don't care.
Right. Yeah. And he still plays the same guitar that's got a bunch of holes in it that have been signed by everybody.
Banged up.
There was recently a Willie Nelson birthday concert that was filmed. I haven't seen it yet, but I guess it's amazing. And Chris Christopherson comes out and sings, and Chris is having a lot of health issues too. And he sings with somebody else.
Streaming right now?
Yeah, but I don't remember where.
Is that streaming? Mm-hmm. Oh, okay. I'll look it up. I saw a thing for it. I wanted to watch it.
Yeah. That and the Carol Burnett special are both streaming now.
I did watch that one the other day.
That was great, by the way, on a side note.
Yeah, it was really good.
I love Carol Burnett. Oh, my God. But, yeah, I definitely believe the Redheaded Stranger deserves every bit of accolades that he gets. Every bit of them. Every bit of them. He's one of my mom's favorites in the whole universe. My mom loves
my mom's favorite too.
Really?
Can I just tell you one little story?
Yeah.
Willie Nelson, just made me think of this. So I don't know if I told you this a few weeks ago. My mom, who died in 2014 before adoption, and we've reconnected. And I don't know. I woke up one day. Me and my sister always do what we call a Sunday selfie. I, of course, thought of it because I'm brilliant. But no, what it is that every Sunday we'll take a picture.
Humility
We'll just
is
take
not
a
a thing.
picture of
What?
ourselves and send it to. We haven't, we didn't grow up together.
Right.
It's my sister. I want to see her at least once a week. So that's the way we do it. So we took a selfie. And so as I'm telling her this on Sunday, when I woke up that morning, that morning when I woke up, Willie Nelson's version of Stardust was in my head because my mom she always played the cassette in her car. She had the cassette of that. And I was working at a record store at the time. And so she would the cassette would be caught in her machine because she didn't know how to clean it or whatever. So I would buy her this cassette. I'd bring her home one at least once every 3-4 months because hers would fall and get water on it on the floor in the car or whatever and get damaged. So I was thinking of this song and I told as we're doing we also do this thing where we have a FaceTime with each other once a week too.
Yeah.
And I talked to her and I said, man, I woke up with this song and I that day when I woke up with it, we did a selfie. I'm like, I'm going to go to the store and look for, some music because I was just in that mood. And I went and Willie Nelson's Stardust was sitting right there on CD for like $4. I'm like, I feel like this is a sign. I have this. I got it. So I bought this CD, which I already had the CD, and I sent it to my sister to tell her that this was her mother's favorite album. And so Stardust by Willie Nelson was my mom's very favorite album. So I bought it and I sent it to her. She didn't really hit her as much as I thought it would, but she's like, I'll take a listen. But yeah, so Willie Nelson was always in my house. His Always on My Mind was one of my mom's favorite songs too.
That was my parents' bridal dance
Elvis
song.
Cover there.
That was my parents' bridal dance song right there. Yep.
That's cool. That's really cool.
Yeah.
But so that's just that's the connection that I have with Willie Nelson. Is it was one of my mom's favorite artists. I feel like it might have almost been. Actually, my mom wasn't a huge country artist, but Willie Nelson, Dolly Parton, she loved everything by both of them. Yeah. I just want to say that because I thought it was pretty cool. I just thought that Willie Nelson thing that I wanted to make sure to let her know what her mother was listening to back in the early 80s. And my mom had it on repeat in the car on cassette was the Stardust album by Willie Nelson.
That's awesome.
All covers. Great covers.
Yeah.
Great, really. But anyway, there's
my favorite Willie Nelson album is called Teatro. And it was produced by Daniel Lanois in the 90s, I think. And it's him and Daniel Lanois and Emmylou Harris. And it was all recorded in this theater. Teatro was the name of the theater. And he does a beautiful version of The Maker on there. And it's just, it's a great record. But yeah, congratulations to Willie Nelson. Hardcore really? Deserves to be in there.
Yeah, for sure.
Next up, the only rock band out of all the ones I've listed, Rage Against the Machine is being inducted this year. Now, this I come to a crossroads where, because what I said earlier about pioneers and people that pave the way for other people getting inducted before these others, right? And you're going to tell me Rage Against the Machine deserves to go into the Hall of Fame before Iron Maiden does. Really?
True.
Iron Maiden
True.
in the 80s did things for heavy metal that are still being replicated and felt today. There's
a big...
Go ahead.
Isn't there like 3 bands, like the big bands, like, you have Metallica and you have Megadeth and then Iron Maiden. Those are the big 3.
Well,
right there, right?
Well,
so
Metallica's
I'm thinking in my mind.
In the 80s, you mean? Is that what you're talking about? Like in the 80s era of metal? Is that
Yeah,
what
I'm
you
thinking
mean?
around that era. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you got Metallica, Megadeth,
Yeah, when you had Judas
Maiden,
Priest with Turbo Lover.
Priest. You got King Diamond, who, I mean, I wouldn't put him on the same level as
Yeah.
those. But Anthrax, I think, is the other one that I would put up there with Metallica and Maiden and then people like that. But
Yeah.
I mean, all that aside, Iron Maiden has had a career, an incredible career. They're still going to this day. It's still all the original members, well, the Number of the Beast era original members. It's, you know, Bruce Dickinson still sounds incredible. They're still putting out albums. They just put out a new album, last year? That's amazing if you're into if you're into this kind of music. I'm not saying it's for everybody. But
Yeah.
how are you going to overlook Iron Maiden and induct Rage Against the Machine first? You know what I mean?
Yeah. They're just, I don't know. It could be just that enough people didn't vote.
Mm-hmm.
You know, maybe they just didn't vote enough. So they decided to pick Rage, who had maybe more votes than Iron Maiden. Maybe the genre of Iron Maiden fans just don't vote.
Well, but the fans, I mean...
You don't know. I mean, maybe... Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
I mean, the fan vote
I would
is
totally
one thing,
believe that they should be in there for sure.
Yeah. I do too. And then finally, rounding out the inductees is the Spinners.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, Spinners, they started off on Motown. They had a song called "It's a Shame" back in the '60s.
and my
It's a
favorite
shame.
jam,
And then they
the
moved
Rubber
on to
Band.
Atlantic Records and had
My
Rubber
favorite
Band.
My
and
favorite,
Games
yeah.
People Play.
Mm-hmm.
The song "Games People Play." That's my favorite song by them. "Games People Play." But then you had their their covers in the late '70s with the Cupid and "I've Been Loving You for a Long Time." All those little medley things they did back in the late '70s. But I mean, they've been around, but okay. The only way I can think about it like this is like, if you have soul people like Stevie Wonder and Smokey Robinson, I'm not saying that Spinners are on the level, but they've been around. They've been around since a long time, like the '60s, early '60s, So,
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. Once again, if you're saying rock and roll, if we're just saying music in general, I feel like they should be. If we're just talking music in general, I mean, because we're kind of going with two different sides here. We're saying rock and roll, or we're just saying music in general. I mean, music in general, yes. I'm not sure about the rock and roll thing, but for music in general, they should definitely be in there for. They've had a lot of hits. They've had a lot of hits.
Well, and especially when you think about all the big Motown people are in there now. Smokey's already there. The Temptations, the Four Tops, Diana Ross. The list goes on. They're all in the Hall of Fame. So the Spinners are logically the next choice. It makes sense.
They weren't they weren't known as a Motown group because they only had "It's a Shame" was like their hit on Motown. Mm-hmm. They were actually first called the Detroit Spinners. I don't know if you know that.
Yeah.
That's what their name was the Detroit Spinners. But then when they went on to Atlantic Records, that's when they had their bigger hits with the '70s stuff with, like Rubber Band Man, those songs. That's where they had their hits. So they weren't really known for their Motown hits, but they were from the original Motown family or, institution, I guess you want to call it. But they weren't really known as a Motown group,
Right, yeah.
Maybe that's why they didn't get in. Maybe that's why they didn't get in, because they weren't truly a Motown group.
Well, and then they also make up these other awards to induct more people. They have the Musical Influence Award this year with DJ Kool Herc. I don't even know who that is.
And I'll tell you why. That is. He's the pioneer of hip hop.
And Link Ray is in there too, because Jan Wenner's been trying to get him inducted for 20 years and it never happens. So I think they just finally did that. He had that song Rumble, that guitar instrumental where he just plays like three chords over and over again.
Yeah. Yeah.
Really cool instrumental though. It is. It really is. And
Yeah.
then so why
Yeah.
DJ? What is it? DJ Cool Herc.
DJ Herc.
Yeah.
He is yeah. He okay, I'll tell you real quick about him. He is the guy. If you watch any hip hop TV show, they always start with him because he was the guy that kind of figured out that if I just take these records and take the little beginning break, such as, you know, Walk This Way or whatever, or take a little loop that's in the middle there and just kind of try to loop that. He's the one that kind of invented that whole loop music and then rap over it. That's what he's the guy that did that.
Okay.
So in that way, he originated, he pioneered. I mean, there's other people that were doing it, I'm sure, but he was very popular in New York for doing that. And that's kind of how the original, you know, just take your record players out to the front porch in New York on a stoop and like start playing music. And he's the guy that was doing that and doing parties and stuff like that.
Oh, okay.
So he's like the inventor. He probably, if there's a rock, guarantee 100% he's at least nominated like at least 10, 20 different like hip hop awards. I guarantee it because he's the godfather, they call.
Yeah.
You watch any documentary on hip hop, he's always mentioned.
I'll have to look into that
as one of the innovators. And listen to any of the hip hop rap people that get awards. They always, usually, if they're like LL Cool J or something like that, who knows about the beginnings of things, he always thanks him too in any kind of award he gets for being in a rap category or whatever. He always thanks him.
Nice.
Cool.
Next is the Musical Excellence Award, which I mean, so what? Their music's great. Like I don't know. Shaka Khan, which I don't know if she's in the Hall of Fame or not.
I think she probably is. I believe she probably, maybe not, but I think that she will be. I believe she would be. I never even thought about that.
No, she's not. She's been eligible since '98, and she's still not. So Shaka Khan, Al Cooper, and Bernie Taupin. Now,
Al
Bernie
Cooper,
Taupin.
that is so funny you're saying that name.
Yeah. Why is that?
Because I was listening to, and I don't want to give it away because I just thought as we're talking about this conversation, I bought a CD yesterday that I thought, wow, I've been hearing about this one for like 30 years. You know, maybe I'm just going to take a chance and do it. And I did buy it. And Al Cooper has a big part of this album first coming out in the 60s and not being that popular. And now he kind of brought it back by telling people, like, check this out, you know, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And Al Cooper, pretty I will talk about that next week, but you know, that's so crazy that you're bringing his name up because I forgot all about his name. And then he's in the credits of this booklet of the CD that I bought yesterday. He did the forward, I think, on the little story that they have in the booklet. And so, yeah, we'll talk about him, but he was one of those people that influenced, you know, he was like one of those movers that made things happen and stuff. You know, we'll talk about him next week. I think because the album that I just thought of in my head was the one we just bought yesterday. But anyway,
and Bernie Taupin too. Like, I don't understand why he wasn't inducted with Elton John together. Like, it should have been a package deal.
It doesn't make sense to me.
No, because Elton would not be Elton without Bernie, and Bernie would not. You know what I mean? They're a package deal. Bernie writes all the lyrics. Like, why the heck wasn't the inductees Elton John and Bernie Taupin together like they did? Like they nominated to do with New Order and Joy Division. Like, why wouldn't that be the same? Like, to me, that's really weird.
I mean, there's Lennon McCartney, Jagger Richards. Those two people are the same. They go together. I mean, they're not the same people, but they're in the same category as your Mick Jagger and Keith Richards, Andrew Lennon and McCartney. They are a duo. They are a partner. They would not have the songs if they didn't write the songs together.
Yeah.
He wrote the music. Remember that. So
Yeah.
the music you're hearing, I mean, he wrote the words. I'm sorry. He wrote the words. Elton wrote the music. Without that combination, the lyrics were very important Elton John songs too, by the way.
Yeah.
I feel. Because they were just normal. If you really listen to the lyrics, they are not normal. I love you, girl. Please come back. Well, I mean, obviously why, but there are people that can go around that kind of thing. But his stuff was more of stories and not just, I love you, girl. Please come back. I saw you walking down the street. Those songs were not written by those two people.
Right. And then the final, the Ahmet Ertegun Award, which I think is just like a lifetime achievement thing, this year is being awarded to Don Cornelius. Yes. You can bet your last money.
Yeah.
Just saying. Don Cornelius, man. I was waiting for you to finish it.
Yeah. I don't remember how it goes after that. Wow. I don't know what's wrong with me today.
What?
I was trying to think of the rest of what he says. He says the same thing on every show. But his little things he says at the end there and stuff where he's like, love. It's like he says something like love, peace, and soul.
Exactly.
And soul. I can't do that. It's too early for my voice to be doing that kind of stuff right now. I can't hit that. I know. No. Yeah. So that is that all of them then?
Yep, that's everything. Yep.
Is that all the nominees?
Some notable people who still aren't. Some notable people that still aren't in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame: Bryan Adams, Greg Allman. I'm looking at the list here.
Yeah.
Bad Company, really? Like, Bad Company's not in there? Like, come on. The Black Crowes. I'm just looking at some ones that
Black Crowes to me is
like,
the same thing and maybe not ready yet.
Blue Oyster Cult. Oh, this one's sad. Boston is not in the Hall of Fame. I mean, that's kind of messed up. Phil Collins, Joe Cocker.
Genesis?
Yeah.
What is Genesis in the Rock and Roll?
Yep. Yeah, Genesis is, but Phil is not. Spencer Davis.
Okay.
Rick Derringer. Dio is not in the Hall of Fame. Why?
Here's what I'd like to ask: Is Steve Winwood in there?
Foreigner? I don't know. Foreigner is not in there. Peter frickin' Frampton is not in the Hall of Fame. Like, here's one that hurts. Grand Funk Railroad is not in the Hall of Fame.
I feel like they have to be, and that's just not a Michigan thing. They really should, man.
Right.
There's so many. I know they're nationwide, but I just did a thing a couple days ago where I sent out a picture in the CD club that I belong to, and I asked if Bob Seger was as famous around the world that he is in Michigan, where we're from, and people I had a guy from Australia saying yes, and a couple other people from different countries and states, of course, and somebody even wrote me in a different language. I had to translate it, So I guess there's certain people that look at Grand Funk as only a Michigan-based band, but they had number one hits.
Yeah,
they had number one hits. They were on Capitol Records. They sold out, beat arenas quicker than the Beatles did at one point. You know what I mean? So they deserve. I don't know anybody in Michigan that doesn't know who Grand Funk is, and that's probably a Michigan thing.
Right.
I know that, but these fans of Grand Funk are so diehard. They're almost like wrestling fans. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
They are huge Grand Funk fans, and I don't even know why I don't hear people bitching about that more often around here.
Right.
Because I don't think that nobody cares or something, but I do.
most people have given up on the Hall of Fame.
I guess.
Billy Idol, In Excess. A couple more here. As I'm scrolling through some of these, I understand, so that's why I'm skipping it. Huey Lewis and the News is not in there. MC5, Meatloaf, the Monkees are not in there.
Monkeys aren't. This album I'm holding up is Huey Lewis and the News. That right there.
Sports. Yeah.
Come on, man.
Motley Crue, Motorhead. It's insane to me, all these amazing musicians that get passed up for people that should go in after them. Ozzy Osbourne is not in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Ozzy Osbourne is not in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Black Sabbath is, but that's a totally different thing. Ozzy Osbourne is not. Iggy Pop is not in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Iggy Pop, for God's sakes.
The Ozzy thing just blows my mind. The Ozzy thing blows my mind.
Right, exactly.
That would be like, yeah, Led Zeppelin isn't in, but Robert Plant in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame?
Nope.
It's the same thing.
Yeah.
Why can't the singer who's had a talented ongoing of music afterwards, and like I've always said,
just like
I believe a lot
Don
of times
Henley.
that the singer of the songs is, I feel like just a continuation. If the group is not around anymore, this person that, a lot of times they're I don't know if he wrote a lot of the songs or co-wrote or whatever, but they're still continue on their path, even though the group might have broken up or something at one point. I feel like that person, Ozzy deserves it. I'm just saying, Ozzy, they better do that next year if he makes it. If he makes it to next year, they better freaking do that.
Don't say that. No,
I don't want to say that.
No, don't say that.
I just have a bad vibe about him right now. I don't know. I haven't heard enough about what's going on with him right now.
Well, he's having a concert coming up. There's a festival coming that he's playing, but who knows how they're going to do it.
I was a little worried, that's all. I was just a little worried. I'm not trying to jinx. I was just a little worried. I haven't heard from him in a minute.
But also, like, you're going to induct bands like Nirvana and Foo Fighters before you induct Ozzy? Like, I love both those bands, but here's my obligatory F-bomb for the show. Ozzy fucking Osbourne. What the hell? Like, Styx is not in the Hall of Fame. Let's see, a couple others here, and then we'll wrap up because I can go on forever. Thin Lizzy is not in the Hall of Fame. Toto is not in the Hall of Fame. Neither is Twisted Sister. Joe Walsh, Roger Waters, David Gilmour, Edgar Winter, Steve Winwood is not in the Hall of Fame. Warren Zevon.
That's what I was going to say, because
Warren Zevon isn't. Yeah. What's that? Yeah. And also, and finally, Weird Al is not in the damn Hall of Fame. And I'm sorry. I know he made a career at writing parodies and things like that. But Weird Al is in the conscience of music, like, forever. Everybody in the world knows who the heck Weird Al is.
Yeah.
Why is he not in the Hall of Fame? He has been around as long as most of the people that are getting inducted this year, if not longer. Why?
The only thing that I can say is, and I don't understand, I don't know if I can say this the way I'm thinking about it, is that I think there's so many different concepts of who's in charge of what's going to happen and who's going to do this and who's going to do that. I don't know. We need more of a decisive thing, maybe, and just to make it so people aren't pissed off as much. Because we also have to remember this. Think about this. More than ever now, we're living in this cancel culture / everybody's included, everybody's involved. You can't leave people out. It's more like than ever like that. I'm totally not going political. I'm just saying it is opening people's minds to say, like, maybe we don't have to be so defined by this genre. Maybe we can just call it all music. Because I have that whole fighting against it because I love all music. So if I could see, you know, somebody that might be an R&B singer into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, just to have them have an award presented to them. And I know it's the moniker of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame that is kind of confusing people. I understand that. But I feel like so many melting pots are put together that it's all just music anyway.
Yeah.
People are influenced. LL Cool J was influenced by the Beatles. You know what I mean? So I don't think that we should. Maybe we should just call it like a music Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
That's all I'm
something,
saying.
because it's making a lot of people pissed off.
That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying that these people don't deserve Hall of Fame recognition. I'm not saying anybody I named doesn't deserve to be deserve an award of some sort.
It's just the wrong name for it. It's the wrong name for it.
Yeah, call it the Music Hall of Fame, and look at how much easier it's going to be for everybody to be like, I get it, cool, you know? And I know Rock and Roll Hall of Fame is a brand or whatever, but you can change brands. It isn't like if you change it to the Music Hall of Fame, people are going to stop going. I mean, come on.
What is that? Is that the same thing as it was before? No, it's different.
I mean, DT went back to Pine Knob, and people are still going. I'm just saying.
They love it more. I think they love it more.
Right. So
because it's Pine Knob, what it's supposed to be. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's all we're saying. You know, the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, on its face, is a great idea. But it's time for a name change, because you get a lot of rock artists who are even getting online right now and are really mad at this year's inductees because it's not rock and roll. And people are like, and these rock artists are like, well, you're calling it the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, but all these amazing rock bands that are pioneers are getting passed over for Kate Bush. Why? You know? And
yeah.
Like, and they're right. But if you change the name, then everything's fine. If you change the name, then Eminem and Styx and, you know, Willie Nelson and Weird Al all make sense going in together, because it's all just music. Yeah. And at the end of the day, that's what it should be. It should be inclusive. It should be, you know, because you look at artists like Garth Brooks. Garth Brooks, who also is not in there, his biggest influence in music was Kiss. He says it all the time. And Garth went on being inspired by one of the biggest rock bands in the world to become one of the biggest country artists in the world.
Yes.
So that's why rock and roll is important. And that's why, for me, I think it's important to change the name of the hall and just make it all inclusive, because then you can acknowledge everybody's influences and everybody's on the same playing field, and no one's going to debate the fact that someone doesn't belong in there because they're not a genre that fits. Because if it's the Music Hall of Fame, every genre fits.
Because, you know, to me, it kind of starts to feel like people are kind of maybe even being a little racist when it comes to that. Not us, not you, not me.
No.
But I feel like it gives like a vibe of, why can't they? Is it because they're soul group? Is it because they're, you know? It's not that. It's just because of the name. That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, it's all
people
the
hear
name.
Rock and roll.
Yeah.
But one more thing, and I swear I'll be done. Freaking Elvis Presley, Hound Dog was an R&B song, but now all of a sudden it's considered a rock and roll standard.
Yeah.
That's an R&B song. So it all comes from somewhere.
Suspicious Minds.
From places that
Suspicious Minds isn't a rock song.
No. You can make anything into a rock song. I can make disco into a rock song. Kiss did it. You know what I mean? So, like, it doesn't matter. It's all just music. You know? Kiss disco. Are we now saying, oh, Kiss can't be that a disco song? You know?
Yeah.
It's just music, man. It's just music. It's all it is.
Preach.
I'm going to have a sign put up. It's just music. That's what I'm going to say. Because I had people arguing me and stressing me out and stuff when I used to work, you know, DJ and stuff. Like, is it really worth 4 minutes to argue about some stupid thing? 4 minute song that you're complaining that you don't like, that kind of thing. Like, people just need to calm down. And music is music. It's all going to be one day. It's just going to be one big thing, and it's not even going to be genred out. It's just going to be one thing. Because we're doing a lot of right now, a lot of dance music is in the music doesn't even have English words in them. They are like Spanish songs, but they are like the dance songs of right now.
Like Bad Bunny.
I don't know what they're saying. Yeah, we don't know what these people are saying, and one day he'll probably be in there too. Why not? Just bring everybody in. Go ahead. If you think that they deserve it, and I agree with you, I will say definitely bring them in.
I agree. So I think we're gonna call it for the day. I think that's a great thing to end on. Is just let's petition to change the name, man. I mean, not us personally, because it's a lot of work, but let's change the name. Let's just call it the Music Hall of Fame, and everybody be happy. That's my vote.
You can go ahead and start that petition up and go do what you have to do with that. And I'll follow along to see how it's going. I might jump in to say, hey, I helped out with that. But until it comes to a progression, we'll see what happens.
I wouldn't hold your breath.
We might be able to do. I mean, if we had enough people involved, we might be able to try to start do something. It could happen.
I wouldn't hold your breath though.
You don't know,
right?
Hold on.
No, that's it. That show is short. No,
that's it.
So we're gonna go ahead and take off for the day. We hope you enjoyed our opinions on the Hall of Fame. As always, we encourage conversation and dialogue. Feel free to leave comments in the comment section. We always check them out. We'll always reply to stuff, as long as you're not being a colossal butthole. We will see you all next week for another episode. And until then, my name is Todd Gilbert.
And my name is Brett Fortney, also known as the Hitman.
In the immortal words of Don Cornelius, we are wishing you love, peace, and soul. And we'll see you on the flip side.
Toodles.